Hello and welcome to my kitchen, Kat's kitchen, where I'm going to show you how to make a really simple but delicious miso soup. It's really good for the winter and particularly your kidneys. So in Chinese medicine, the kidney and bladder meridian are related to the winter element, and hey, it's certainly winter, so it's going to be really good for you for lunchtime or even breakfast. So how to make a miso soup. It's really easy and so good for you. So it helps maintain a healthy digestive system. It's really good for your bones and it's packed full of nutrients. It's also really good to maintain a healthy heart. If you hear any scratching or running around whilst I'm cooking, it's my little house rabbit, Pokey, so excuse the noises. So there's 3 parts to making a good miso soup. First, you'll need a dashi stock. This is dashi stock, which I've soaked overnight. Basically, it's Dashi Kombu, which is a sea kelp. And dashi stock usually has the Dashi Kombu sea kelp with Bonito, or you can get Bonito flakes, and that's a fish. So if you wanted to make a veggie or vegan stock, just go for the Dashi Kombu. If you did want some fish flavours in there and you can't find Bonito flakes, I cheat a bit. So once the soup's made, I add a little bit of fish sauce. But that's at the end. The second part to the soup, because it wouldn't be a miso soup without the miso, is the miso. You can get light miso or dark miso. On the whole, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but miso soup's generally made with light miso, but really it doesn't matter. And you can use also miso soup like this, miso paste. And then the third part of miso soup is your veg or the other ingredients that you want to add, and it's completely seasonal. So a miso soup doesn't have specific things in it, so depending on the region in Japan and also the season or your personal preference, it will change what goes in the miso soup. So today I've got broccoli, I've got some swede and carrot as well. And you can chop them small. I chop them small because they cook quicker, but you can also do them a bit bigger, so you can also make shapes kind of like this with the swede. I will also put in later, once they're cooked, some shiitake mushrooms. Now you don't have to use shiitake mushrooms, you can use normal mushrooms, whatever you can get your hands on. And if you wanted to plump it out a bit, if you perhaps don't like mushrooms, you could add a silken tofu, but that also goes in at the end. As far as other flavours go, I always like to add fresh ginger, particularly in the winter. It gives a nice kick to the soup. So let's get making our miso soup. So to start with, we want to get our stock, dashi stock, whether that's vegan or with the fish, Bonito flakes. So on the whole, you want 200 millilitres per person, roughly. So I've made just under 2 pints, so about 1,000 millilitres, because I'm going to make it for about 4 people. So I'm going to plop that in the pan. I'm going to leave the sea kelp in for now. Put that to one side and I will fish it out later. It helps if you turn the heat on. So that's going to get boiling just like that. So whilst that's getting hot, I'm now going to add the veg in that need boiling. So I'm going to add in my cubed swede, my carrot, and broccoli as well. And I'll leave that, where's my spoon, just here. I'll leave that to just gently cook. It shouldn't take too long, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Now, if you don't have things like swede or carrot or broccoli, or fancy things like some Japanese veg like bamboo root, you can use things that you've got at home. For example, potato, and you can cube the potato. You can add it with carrot or whatever you've got at home. Perhaps you've got some cauliflower that you can add in as well. So it's completely up to you. So whilst that's bubbling away, I'm just going to show you how I cut the carrot, because I find it quite interesting. So my Japanese dance teacher showed me how to cut in this particular way. So you want to get your carrot and you constantly turn it as you cut. So I'm just going to cut and turn the carrot, and that's how you get that interesting shape that you'll usually find in a traditional Japanese miso soup with carrot. So that's how you make that shape. Also, whilst we're waiting, I'm going to get the tofu, silken tofu, and I'm just going to gently cut a few pieces, and then I'm going to cube it like so, and I'm going to turn it on the side and cut it like that. So about this size. Any smaller and it's just going to fall apart in your soup, but we'll just use that at the end. Now I've taken it off the boil. As you can see, the veg are just cooked rather than too mushy, and I've also taken out the sea kelp. So now I'm going to move it to a simmer, so I want a gentle heat, because the next bit we do not want to overheat. So I'm going to add the shiitake mushrooms, and it doesn't matter how much. You can make up what you'd like in your soup. So perhaps you prefer more mushrooms and less veg. I'm also going to put some freshly chopped ginger, but I'm going to keep a little bit for later to add on the top to make it look nice. So put a little ginger in there, and then wouldn't be miso soup without the miso. I'm going to get a tablespoon, so 1 tablespoon of miso for each person. So that's 1 tablespoon for 200 to 250 millilitres of stock. So I've made roughly 4 to 5 portions of about 200 millilitres. So I'm going to put 4 tablespoons in. And because it's quite pasty already, it's going to be easier to mix in. If you've got quite a thick miso, you might want to make a paste with some water in a pot and then add that liquid thick paste to the soup. Great, so that's all added in. I am going to add a little bit of fish sauce, so I'm going to put just a few glugs, kind of like that, maybe 1 for luck. And then I'm going to give it a stir and make sure that the miso's all mixed in. Now the other thing that you can add to, so it doesn't have to be mushroom or vegan or anything like that, you can add things like strips of pork or some shredded chicken or anything like that to the soup. So it's not necessarily just a veggie or vegan soup. If you want a bit more protein and you like meat, you can add those things to the soup. Kind of the same time as adding the mushrooms, and you want the meat to be cooked before you add them. So that's on a gentle heat, simmering away. I think all the miso's stirred in now. There's one little bit left. And then before videoing this, I kind of cheated a little bit, but I've made some sticky rice to go in a bowl on the side to go with the miso soup for my lunch. So now it's just been simmering, or just under simmering, very gently for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn the heat off so it looks a bit like this. Now I'm going to add, and you don't have to, I'm going to add a bit of the sea kelp back in, mainly because I like munching on it and it's good for your kidneys. So I've chopped it up into kind of like little pieces, and you can put in as much as you like or none at all. And I'm also going to add the cubed silken tofu. They're very gentle, they're very soft, so you want to be gentle with them. So just pop them in and they can float around. Get some flavours of the soup in there. Okay, and now I'm just going to serve up. So you can keep the tofu in for a bit longer to get the full flavours. So I've got the shiitake mushroom, some juice, see if I can get a bit of the carrot as well, like so. And also I'm going to get some rice, which I prepared earlier. So I made some sticky rice. I'm going to get a nice bowl of sticky rice, like that. So we've got our miso soup, sticky rice. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh ginger in there, uncooked. Also, just a note on the rice, if you don't want to buy the fancy Japanese or short of grained Italian rice, there's another cheap that you can get, is the pudding rice, because it's much cheaper in the supermarkets. So I use that. Just to finish off, I've got some green nori sprinkle, so it's another sea vegetable condiment, and I'll get a little spoon and sprinkle that on the top of my rice. And then, just for an extra boost of protein, I've boiled some eggs. So I've got some hard-boiled eggs there, and then I just float that in the soup as well. And there we have it. We have a very delicious miso soup ready for lunch with sticky rice and green tea. Itakimasu!